All right, welcome to our study on ratios and proportional relationships for our accelerated math program. This is a continuation of our first cluster. Today we are going to be examining how to calculate a unit rate. This is our second of 3 learning targets in this cluster. Let's get started. So we'll start with the question, what is the unit rate? So when I see this word unit rate, what exactly is it? This is an important concept when we're dealing with ratios. A unit rate is a comparison of two numeric measurements in which one of the terms has a value of 1. This is of the utmost importance. You must get this value here of 1. Now, what does that mean? In an earlier video, we talked about the possibility of our beloved Wildcats winning their 9th national championship. And we talked about if we were to compare those championships to Louisville's 3 national championships, we would have a ratio of 9 to 3. Remember, a couple ways we could write it this way, or we could write it 9 to 3. But in doing so, what a unit rate is I want to know how many national championships, when Louisville wins 1, we got to get a number to 1. How many would Kentucky win? So we're going to focus really on this 3 here at first. Because the deal here is we want to get one of these numbers to 1. Now I want to know for every national championship that Louisville wins, how many does Kentucky win? So I've got to get this value to 1. Now, come back to when we scale it down. When we scaled it down, we said we're going to look to simplify. Now, my goal here is I want to get this 3. I want to do something to it to where it'll equal 1. Now, when I scale down, I'm going to divide. You need to remember that. Scale down, you will divide. And when you scale up, you're going to multiply. Well, since I'm scaling down, I'm trying to get one of those numbers to 1. I'm definitely dividing, but what am I dividing 3 by to get 1? Well, I know that's 3. So I've divided 3 by 3 and I get 1. So I've got 1 there, but whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Then 9 divided by 3 equals, oh, look at me, equals 3. So I know that my unit ratio, or my ratio here is 3 to 1. I know there are 3 UK titles per 1 U of L title. So the unit rate here is 3, right? Because for every time Louisville wins 1, Kentucky wins 3. So, and I know I'm far-fetching and trying to pull this into Kentucky and Louisville, but you know me, and that's kind of how I do it. But let's take a look at a couple of real-world scenarios, because that's where unit rate's honestly going to show up the most here, is with the real-world scenario. So let's take a look here. We're going to look at calculating the unit rate. Here's our first practice problem. It says Taylor earned $180 last week at the diner. If she worked 20 hours, how much money did she earn per hour? Now, we've got some values here that we really need to take notice of. We got $180 last week, and then she worked these 20 hours. So I want you to notice, now, when we looked at when I was talking about the Kentucky, we were talking about championships to championships. What was different there was one was Kentucky, one was Louisville. Now we're not talking about comparing apples to apples. We're talking about comparing, and that's metaphorical anyway, that we're talking about comparing apples to oranges, and that we're talking about comparing money to hours. But what we're looking at here is we were looking for what's the rate per hour. This here, let me change this real quick. This is the rate. When I talk about right now my unit rate, I want to know that the unit rate that we're asking, I want to know dollars per, that's what that slash means. and let me write this out so I don't want to assume you know. I'm looking at dollars per hour. That's the unit rate that we're getting at. The unit rate means for every hour that Taylor worked, how much money did she earn? So let's kind of, again, we'll break it down. I think with these, sometimes they're great for the fraction because we know fraction means division. And I'm looking at this and I can honestly ask myself, in order to get there, how many groups of 20 can go into 180? I mean, there's a great starting point is to just look at this and go, well, um, you know, can 20 go into 180? You know, could I take this? Because if that fraction means division, and that would equal 9, meaning for every hour that Taylor works, 1 hour equals what? $9. Does that make sense? Let's check our math. How many hours does she work? 20 times how much money are we saying she made? 9. Well, 0 times 9 is 0. 2 times 9 is 18. 180. Make sense? So the unit rate, how much money did she earn per hour? She earned $9 per hour. Again, what I did here is I set this up as a fraction. Now I could have worked it the other way, right? Um, and then you kind of find yourself in a position to simplify. You know, I could have said, well, she made 180 to 20, right? And what if I divided both by 10 just to kind of, I know that'll knock off, right? And I come up with 2, and I come up with 18. Well, the problem there is I don't have a value of 1 as either number. But now I know they're both even. I can divide them both by 2, divide each side, and then I get 9 and 1. So I can even solve them from the colon expression of the ratio. I chose on this one the fraction. You have some flexibility there, but at the end, you simply want to take that ratio and break it down to where one of your numbers is 1. Which number you ask might be 1. This number here dictates that, or this question. It wants to know per hour. So when it says per hour, that's telling me this is my 1. Okay? Let's take a look at a second problem. It says Hagen can pack 60 toys in boxes in 4 hours. How many toys can he pack per hour? Once again, it's giving us, this is the per hour. The question is telling us, I want this to be the number 1. So then let's set up our, we'll do it this way, toys to hours. Now we've got 60 to 4, right? That's my ratio. I'm looking at this. I can easily see that I know that 4 will actually go into 60. I know that I can divide 4 by 4, and that gives me my 1. And then I can divide 60 by 4, and that gives me my 15. So 15 to 1. How many toys does he pack per hour? He would pack 15. We could look at this also as a fraction. 60 over 4, which would equal 60 divided by 4, which equals 15. So how many toys does he pack per hour? He would pack 15 toys per hour. And in fact, I should have pointed this out on the last one. We definitely want to write, oops, got a little off there. We definitely want to write this out, make sure we label our numbers. He packs 15 toys per hour. And again, that little slash can tell me that's my per right there. So that's a look at calculating the unit rate there. Again, I think the number one thing that I would encourage you to do is find that number find what it's asking you to put into 1. You have to understand the question. You have to understand what's happening. If it's not coming to you at first, draw pictures. You know, figure out a way to understand the scenario and then ask yourself which of the two values that it's given to you does it want to be 1? Set up your ratio, and then scale down. Figure out a way to get that to a 1. So this is a look at calculating a unit price. Good luck with your worksheets and your practice on this skill. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks.